Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal Public Affairs program. I'm Jerry Williams. Well, join me now for part 2 of my conversation with founder of Queen Bee, Raina Jane. She's a social entrepreneur who's on a mission. Her incredible story in founding Queen Bee began in high school on a bee farm known as an apiary, which ultimately led to producing some amazing products. Hear more of Raina Jane happening now on the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.
People don't really know this, but how is honey made? It's actually quite fascinating. It's made using, it sounds kind of gross, but you can think of it as bee regurgitation almost. So how it works is, when a honeybee first takes in the first kind of nectar in its stomach is filled with lots of enzymes. So when it eats the honey, the premature honey, which really isn't honey yet, gets filled with all these enzymes. And once it gets filled with those enzymes, they pretty much bring it back up and give it to another bee, which another bee takes it in their stomach, filled with more enzymes, and they keep doing it until it's filled with all these different enzymes, all these different antioxidants, and it becomes kind of the daily healthy food of the hive. So people think of honey as just a natural sugar supplement. It's not. It's so much more than that. Yeah.
You've learned a lot in your young life. 20 years old with this entrepreneurial spirit and this incredibly beneficial product, and especially the timing was perfect that you came out with this, coming out this whole pandemic thing. And so I imagine that you and your family, you were able to benefit from your own, creation, if you will.
Absolutely.
Throughout the pandemic. When you first started coming up with this idea to do this, how did that go with your family?
So it was interesting. I started the Queen Bee so HiveCard started in high school, but I was still continuing to work. It was kind of synergistic with education at that time. And Queen Bee, when the lab shut down, I was a freshman in high school when I started working on Queen Bee. And for me, I say this a lot. For me, I was never a great student. I really struggled in school. For me, the biggest problem I had with the educational system was that it never rewarded hard work and never rewarded persistence or attitude, which is kind of really what measures success in the real world. But it only measured things like retention and IQ and things that didn't seem to have much of a significance to me. And because of that, I kind of developed this separation with school. And the reason I was so drawn to entrepreneurship is because it rewards things like persistence, and it rewards curiosity and rewards creativity. There's no real way to measure that in school. So how do you put a number to creativity? You can't, so it just goes unnoticed. And so in university, especially this was all online, I decided to kind of really go full in on this concept. And I remember I had online classes, but I would kind of just log into the classes. I'd hop in the car after making product in my mom's kitchen, and I'd start driving around to every Whole Foods trying to pitch the store manager, saying, hey, can you please give me a chance and put this product on your shelf? I promise, if you trust me, I promise I won't let you down. And I did that for 110 stores.
Wow.
All across the Northeast, North Atlantic. I went to New York, New Jersey, and I would just kind of log into these classes, and I'd just not actually pay attention. I'd just be working on growing Queen Bee. After 6 months, which was a lot of persistence, I finally launched in one Whole Foods in September 1st in Avon, Connecticut Whole Foods, which is the first store at launch of Whole Foods. And then I expanded to kind of 10 Whole Foods in all of Connecticut, then Mom's Organic, DeChico's, Carluzzi's. We now just got national distribution with Unify and KeHE. We're launching Wegmans nationwide, Earth Fare as well. And so it started kind of really to pick up from there. But at the time, my parents are immigrants from India. For a lot of immigrants, just like my parents, education is the way out. For me to kind of put a priority on the business was kind of a little bit of a shock to them. Yeah. I did definitely get a lot of lectures, but they were always really supportive, but it was a little bit of a shock to them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I learned was their concept of education was a school. For my concept of education was real world experiences. And that's the kind of things that I got. I learned the concept of persistence by speaking to 110 store managers and hearing no 109 times. Wow. So I think I had a different way of learning that educational system didn't really reward. And when I did get this Peter Thiel fellowship, that's when my parents were like, okay, maybe just let her do what she's doing.
Yes, they finally came around.
Yes, exactly.
You mentioned the Peter Thiel Fellowship. Elaborate on that.
Yes, exactly. So the Peter Thiel Fellowship is a fellowship started by Peter Thiel, one of the founders of PayPal. He has this concept of school is not really the best way to learn. That kids who want to learn things, they don't have to sit in the four walls of a classroom. And they can do things outside of that as well. And so he pretty much pays kids $100,000 to drop out of college and work on building their company for 2 years.
Wow.
And the Thiel Fellowship has founded, now I think overall the fellowship itself has incubated companies that are now worth over $30 billion, not including Ethereum, which is a founder of Vitalik. I think this concept of school, the four walls of the classroom, is not a way that everybody learns, really resonated with me. And one thing that I've learned there's only 20 kids selected each year, and the acceptance rate is less than 0.01%, so it's super competitive. But the thing with the fellowship is they focus less on the company, and they focus more on the founder. So they look in qualities like, does this founder have what it takes? Are they persistent? Are they curious? Are they constantly learning? Are they constantly pushing themselves? And those are their criteria of accepting a fellow. I think the biggest learning of experience I've had is actually spending time with these other fellows and seeing how they work and how they learn. They're the most fearless, ferocious founders I've ever met in my life, and they really push me to become better every single day.
Raina Jane, founder of Queen Bee. So we know that a bee farm is called an apiary.
Yes.
And that's where it all began. A biology teacher telling you about a bee farm up in northern Connecticut, and you saw some things, and wow, it just took off from there. And
Exactly.
Here you are, about to go national. You're statewide, or New England. What are you, statewide now or New England
So
wide?
we're region. So we're in Northeast, North Atlantic, and Mid Atlantic.
Okay, and you're about to go national.
Yes.
Are you excited about that?
I'm excited. There's definitely growing pains that come to every kind of stage in the
Yeah.
business, but I'm excited.
Well, God bless you. This is timely. I love the health benefits. You know, it is so needful today. You know, all the things that we're going through, you know, pandemic-wise, and people are looking for their immunity to be strengthened. They're looking for more energy, and the ingredients they're not synthetic. I applaud you. You're an inspiration not only to young people, but to all people.
Absolutely.
You know,
Thank you
you're
so
really
much.
getting after it. And keep doing what you're doing. It was a pleasure meeting you. Any closing remarks?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's one thing I'll say, I guess if there's any kids listening to this, from me, I remember being in middle school and high school and just sitting in the back of a classroom and feeling so alienated and feeling like I was just stupid by judging myself based off of my grades, and something that's so irrelevant to success in the real world. And I think one thing, like if there are any kids or even parents listening to this, I think it would be to not judge your success based off of what happens within the four walls of a classroom, but to judge yourself by character, to judge yourself by attitude, by persistence and curiosity. That's really the only thing that will determine success in life. And from somebody who still hasn't made it and who's still kind of trying and waking up every day and continuing to work, I think one thing that I've noticed amongst myself and all the founder friends that I'm part of with the Thiel Fellowship is that one thing that always determines success within a founder is, or anybody really, is just their attitude. And everything else is kind of secondary. Attitude in terms of character, of how you treat others, and attitude in terms of working hard and persisting and wanting to move the next generation forward. So I'd say if there's any parents listening to this who's concerned about their kids, just like my parents were at one point, that they're not doing too well in high school or in education, it would be if your kids are working hard, that's all you can ask for. Yeah. And if there's any kids listening to this, it would be just know that just continue to work hard, and your character and attitude are things that will be the only things that only factors that determine success in life. Yeah. Yes.
Well said, Jana. And you were inspiring me because I was one of those kids when I was going to school. I was that kid that sat in the back. I was dreamy.
Yes.
And I was more artsy.
Yes.
You know, if I didn't like the subject, I didn't do well in it.
Yes.
I did well in things I liked and enjoyed, but it wasn't across the board.
Absolutely.
So, and I was shy. God bless you, and thanks for sharing. If anybody want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you, or what's the website they can go to and learn more about what you're doing?
Absolutely, yes. So the website is the THE-Queen Bee, QUEENBEE.com. You can reach out to me on my email. It's raina@the-queenbee.com. I'd love to hear from anybody. I almost always respond to all emails. If you can find Queen Bee at your local Connecticut Whole Foods or anywhere, usually in lots of independents and stores in the Northeast and North Atlantic regions.
Yeah. All right. Strengthening our immune system and boosting our energy levels. It's Queen Bee.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And you just heard my conversation with the founder of Queen Bee, Raina Jane, that took place in Greenwich, Connecticut. If you'd like more information about what you heard today, call WIHS 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily of those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Jerry Williams for the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs.